Hi you guys, it's Michelle. I would like to share with you a couple of objects from my family history that are important to me, that were given to me by my mom and my dad. I'm going to talk about both my grandmothers, my mom's mom and my dad's mom, because they both were immigrant families coming to New York, but they had two different experiences. So I think the things that I have to show are sort of emblematic of how one family really was a poor immigrant family and kind of remained that way, and the other one was a poor immigrant family, but really was able to move up the social and economic strata in New York. And I learned a little bit about more about my dad's family through my aunt that I had a conversation with yesterday. And from my mom, I think I'll start with my mom's family first. So my mom's mom was named Sarah, and she was married to Morris, and he was a tailor, and they were really pretty poor. My mom had three older brothers, and my mom was the only girl, but she was also the only one that went to college. And she went to the City University of New York, which a lot of Jewish people did, which again Sarna talks about as being like the Jewish Harvard. But as a girl, that was kind of unusual that she was the only one out of four siblings that went there. And also interesting, her oldest brother, my uncle, actually was born in the United States, but he actually started kindergarten not speaking English as his first language. He spoke Yiddish. So again, I think that just gives a little bit of a flavor to the fact that they were pretty much a very old Eastern European family. So what I have from my grandmother Sarah, I want to show is a wooden bowl, and that she used, and I know that Neil, you mentioned something about a wooden bowl too that you have. So this wooden bowl and the chopper that my grandmother used are probably over 55, 60 years old, and she would use this, my grandmother, to make gefilte fish or chopped liver. There was a fleischig bowl and a dairy bowl, so this was her meat bowl, but I know that she also had one that she would make hummintaschen in, and I can really remember her doing that. So yes, it's sentimental, but on the other hand, I think what it's emblematic of is what Jocelyn talks about. You know, she was a real belabusta. She was a real homemaker. She was pretty much an unskilled woman. She probably worked in the factories. I think she actually made cardboard boxes, so she was like a factory worker when she was younger, before being married and having children. So that's my mom's family, and my mom was the only one, in a sense, that kind of was able to move up by going to college. So on my dad's side, my grandmother Jean was born in Russia, and she actually was she came from a very upwardly mobile family in Russia. She had servants, actually, and she was also educated herself. She went to school, which was unusual, but it was very interesting. What I learned from my aunt was that in order for my great-grandfather to send my grandmother to school when she was a child, a Jewish family had to pay for a non-Jewish child to go to school as well. So it was important for my great-grandfather to send his daughter Jean to school in Russia, so they did. They paid twice for their daughter and for a non-Jewish child, which was interesting. When my grandmother came to the United States, actually, she was poor, and she came at age 16 to work and send money back to Russia. When she met my grandfather, they got married and they started to build a family. He was a furrier, so he actually looked for a business that he could be in to make money. So he was very goal-oriented and wanted to really move up. And it's clear that on my dad's family, they lived in a nicer part of the Bronx in New York. They are really right out of the pages of some of the things that Sarna talks about, as well as Jocelyn, which I thought was so interesting. My two aunts went to the City University of New York, which again was like the Jewish Harvard, as my mom did. My dad, being the son, went to private school, private college, and they paid for that. But similarly, they had a summer resort in the Catskills in upstate New York, and they lived in a neighborhood in the Bronx that was called Pelham Parkway, and it was more of an upper middle class neighborhood. And again, what Sarner talks about was that my aunt said to me, everybody in the neighborhood was Jewish. They just thought everybody was Jewish, and synagogue life was a very big, important part of their life. They would walk to synagogue, and my aunt said that she thought all the boys were Jewish. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But now looking at Jocelyn and some of the things that Jocelyn talks about with Jewish identity and consumerism, what I think is very interesting is I remember, and my aunt pointed it out to me, that they bought a piano because buying a piano meant that you had money to buy this expensive piece, and it meant you were sort of well off. So my aunt remembers them buying a piano. They had all the tufted furniture that Jocelyn talks about, and I remember the furniture being covered in very heavy plastic because you had to protect it. You couldn't really sit on it unprotected, or the plastic only came off when there was company. So I thought that was very interesting. And also what I got from my dad's family, my grandparents, was crystal. When they passed away, I got some crystal. I don't know if you can really see it. It's all etched here in the glass. I have a whole set of little shot glasses and wine glasses and red wine glasses and water glasses. It's this amazing set. But the whole top is dipped in silver. This is all sterling silver. So clearly from my dad's family, they were able to move up, and this was very, I remember this growing up. For Passover, the table was set with this. For Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, we were always at my dad's family, my grandparents' house in the Bronx, and this was on the table. So it's very, very much what Jocelyn talks about in terms of that era of Americanization and making it. And I think the two different items that I have, the wooden bowl and the chopper from my mom's mom, and the stemware from my dad's mom, and are just interesting how they're very different, but yet they represent two similarly immigrant stories. So I hope you enjoyed my little talk. I'm glad that I was able to share those things with you, and I've enjoyed all the other videos that I've been seeing so far. Thanks again.